I invite you to close your eyes or to let your eyes go gently out of focus. I'm going to start with 3 deep breaths. And as you exhale, relax your body. And on your next exhale, let thoughts and concerns fall away. And follow your next exhale within you to that space where spirit dwells. Today, rest in the space of divine peace. A space where there is no past regret and no future worry. Rest in divine peace that is now. Release any thoughts of must do or should be. And in this time of silence, dwell with divine peace. We give thanks that peace is within us. Divine peace is with us always. We are divine peace, and so it is.
much. Good morning. Thank you for being here today. I would like to reiterate a few things from the announcements concerning the meditation training Wednesday. There are those that expressed to me, I'd be interested in leading a meditation. I'd just like to know more about how you do it. So I thought, well, I'll have a little session. And I'd appreciate, even if you have led a meditation, if you could join me for that, I'd appreciate it. Just kind of a way we can all share and improve. We got some beautiful meditations that come forth here. And that's something I wanted, from before I even started here, was to have others, join in leading that, not just me. So I appreciate if you can be here for that Wednesday at 11. Isn't that right, Lark? 11. And if you can't, I'll have another one following up before long, but I'd appreciate if you could. And the other thing, the Real Spirit movie we're going to be showing come Sunday, that movie had a profound impact upon me becoming a part of Unity. I came from the same background as the guy, Bishop Carlton Pearson. The story is about him. Not a documentary. It's a very good dramatic film. The star, I'm never sure if I get his name pronounced, Chiwetel Ejiofor. That's as close as I can get. But he starred in 12 Years a Slave, very fine actor. He plays Carlton Pearson, and Martin Sheen plays Oral Roberts, who was his mentor. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing it again. I hope you can be a part of it too. I think you'll really enjoy it. My favorite scene is where he stands before the Council of Bishops and is called to give an account of why he changed his view on hell. It's my favorite scene in the movie, so I think you'll enjoy it as well. So please remember that, and thank you so much. I want to share with you something that it's reminiscent of a message I did not long ago on Oreos. How many remember that? Wasn't that a great message? It killed. And so I want to do something similar today because I like to follow in the footsteps of our way shower, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus was a master teacher. In fact, I have a minister friend in Indiana, Reverend Manasseh. She calls Jesus Master Teacher Jesus, and I really like that because he was. And Jesus would teach about ordinary, everyday things and bring forth profound truths. For example, a shepherd lost one of his sheep, or a woman lost a coin, a farmer sowing seed in the field, workers in the vineyard, or a man with an estranged son that needed to come back home to his family. These are everyday things that Jesus used to illustrate some remarkable truths of the kingdom of heaven. And I want to ask you this morning, is there anything more familiar than this? Is there anything on earth more familiar than that? I ask you. And so I would like to submit for your approval today the gospel according to Coca-Cola. Because it's very familiar and really an iconic, it's way more than just this sugary, brown, watery stuff. There's something iconic about this, isn't it? And it's outlived some upstarts and competitors that thought they could compete with it, and they went by the wayside. How many remember Tab? Awful stuff. I remember one night, I was a kid, after karate class, we had one of those old-fashioned soda machines. You put your coin in and pull the soda out, and all they had in there was Tab. Everything else had been bought. And so I thought, well, how bad can it be? It was bad, really bad. I would kind of compare it to a flat soda mixed with swamp water. That's the taste of me. Never liked Tab. And, of course, Tab eventually went by the wayside. I remember Bubble Up. Some of you remember Bubble Up? All right. That was an 80s soft drink. And it had its day, but it's gone. Here's one I really want to know if anybody remembers. Kickapoo Joy Juice. A few do. All right. I'm amazed. But all these upstarts, they're gone. But this remaineth. Iconic. More than just a soda pop. And I believe there's some kingdom principles we can learn from this. I really do. Hear me out. Now this here is freely distributed in every country on earth with the exception of Cuba and North Korea. over 200 countries on earth. This is freely distributed. It has girdled the globe with its influence. And there's some extraordinary things we can learn from it. And I've known people, they could tell you the very first time they ever had tasted one. I'm not kidding you. Like when they graduated or their wedding night. I mean, they remember their first Coke. And I remember a minister friend of mine in particular, his name was Calvin Smith. And he grew up in a section of, there was a rural community near where I lived called Chick. Way out in the boondocks, man, near the river. And there was a section of Chick that was even more rural called Poorway. And that was with extreme rural poverty. And that's where he grew up. And he said that he grew up in such poverty, and when he was finally able to afford nice clothes, you know, he would try and dress up, you know, at services, and he'd wear a coat and tie. I abandoned the tie a while back. But he always wanted to look nice, and said this hippie guy came to his church, a counterculture kind of guy. He said, what do you need with them fancy clothes? You need to be more, you know, a simpler man. He said, let me tell you something, buddy. I grew up in Poorway. And said, I had to wear hand-me-downs with a rope for a belt. Now God has blessed me to buy some decent clothes. I'm going to wear them. But he told me, he said, he remembered the very first Coca-Cola he ever tasted. They didn't get them very much in Poorway. And said, I thought to myself, he said, I took a drink and thought to myself, surely there's nothing on earth that tastes any better than this. It had a profound impact. And as we share what I believe are some kingdom truths we can derive from Coca-Cola, let me say from the outset, I'm not meaning necessarily to elevate the Coca-Cola company. So how many know why the companies exist? To make a profit, sure. Corporations exist to make a profit for their shareholders. And companies are like people. They're a mixture of good and bad behaviors, aren't they? The Coca-Cola Company has done remarkable, wonderful, charitable, and philanthropic works. They've also been known to do some shady stuff, particularly in other parts of the world. So not necessarily elevating the company, not necessarily elevating the product either. To be honest, if you want to be healthy, you don't want to drink a whole lot of these. I'm serious. They're sugary, and they're not really part of a healthy diet. If you're going to drink one a month or a year. But I tell you, I heard the most extreme example of somebody that drank too much Coca-Cola. This was a lady named Natasha Harris. She was a 30-year-old mother of 8 from New Zealand. She died of a heart attack directly linked to her consumption of Coca-Cola. Listen to this. Her daily intake was between 2.1 to 2.6 gallons of Coke every day for years, almost 3 gallons of Coke a day. That's insane. Now, this equated to she was consuming over 2 pounds of sugar and roughly 970 milligrams of caffeine a day. This is twice the daily safe limit for caffeine. And over 11 times the recommended intake of sugar. Her family testified at the coroner's inquest that she was completely addicted to Coca-Cola. If she ran out, she would suffer severe withdrawal symptoms, including aggressive behavior, losing her temper, and the shakes. So she had to have her teeth surgically removed. They were so decayed from all the sugar. And she actually gave birth to a child born with no tooth enamel because of her consumption of too much Coca-Cola. Moderation is the key, isn't it? Really moderate how you use this stuff. But it's not so much the drink, is it? It's more than that. So what kingdom truths does Coca-Cola represent? Well, number one, I'd like to share. There's 3 I'd like to share with you. Number one, I believe Coca-Cola guides us more to the ideal of the universal human family, that we are actually one people throughout the earth, and that the divisions created are divisions, man-made creations of consciousness and not realities. Just the song is so precious, isn't it? Everybody remembers the Coca-Cola song. And like I said, I thought that Coca-Cola got permission to use the song from the singing groups. It was the other way around. Coca-Cola came up with the song first. The singing group said, can we use it and leave out the Coca-Cola part? And, they allowed them to do that. But you remember that song, don't you? Sing it with me. I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. That's the real thing. That's okay. I admire the enthusiasm. But it guides us to the concept of our universal family. As Paul said in Acts chapter 17, verse 28, from one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him, to perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. We're one people, one blood. We partake of one spirit universally throughout the earth. And all the divisions of nation and race and religion, how many know these are all man-made things? Not in the ideal of God. God didn't create any of those things. Whether male or female, black or white, Jew or Gentile, Muslim or Hindu, gay or straight, and yes, even Democrat and Republican. We're one people. And these divisions should not exist, and they don't exist in the mind of spirit. And when we find the mind of spirit, we find ourselves clinging to and embracing the universal family, don't we? And this is very important because there's an epidemic of loneliness in our world. An estimated 1 in 2 U.S. adults, 1 in 2, experiences loneliness. A crisis officially declared an epidemic by U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy in 2023. This widespread isolation, worsened by the pandemic, poses severe health risks, including a mortality rate, get this, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness contributes to a genuine health hazard. A genuine health hazard. As I like to say, it's healthier to eat Twinkies with friends than broccoli by yourself. Isn't that right? And it always will be. Way healthier, because when we're with people, and I believe it's a God-created thing where we need to embrace one another as part of the human family. And it's good for us to do that. Get this now, this loneliness epidemic. The impact is so widespread. Approximately 50% of adults report experiencing loneliness even before the COVID-19 pandemic, with recent surveys suggesting over half feel isolated or lack companionship. And you know the age group that's affected the most? This really amazed me. Young people. Young adults, age 18 to 24, are particularly impacted by loneliness. Amazing when you consider the social media explosion. And they're lonelier than ever with all this so-called contact online. And yet lonelier than ever. Why? Because you can't really embrace people over a screen. Isn't that right? You can only embrace people when there's people present. And so many young people feel lonely, alone. Studies showing nearly 8 in 10 young adults report feeling lonely. It's an epidemic. But it's not just the United States. This is all around the world. This is from the World Health Organization. Social isolation and loneliness are widespread, with around 16% of people worldwide, 1 in 6 people on Earth, experiencing loneliness. While the latest estimates suggest loneliness is most common among adolescents and younger people, people of all ages experience loneliness, including older people, with around 12% experiencing loneliness. A large body of research shows that social isolation and loneliness have a serious impact on physical and mental health, quality of life, and longevity. It's an epidemic. And we need to embrace the human family more than ever, to embrace one another as being connected and not divided. Isn't that true? I got a soft spot for lonely people, I got to confess. I remember in the town I used to live in, there was a man I would see around town, and he never seemed to be with other people. He always seemed to be by himself. And one night I was at McDonald's, another place you shouldn't go to that often. Incidentally, Coca-Cola and McDonald's have been in cahoots for years, so they know what they're doing. But I was at McDonald's with my quarter pounder with cheese. And I was with a group of people, I think it was after a service. And I looked up and I saw this guy. And he was with people. It appeared to be another church group. And I saw they were embracing him. And he was embracing them. And it just got to me. I just started crying there with my quarter pounder in front of me. And mucous membrane getting all over my quarter pounder. It was disgusting. But I was so moved by the fact that his loneliness seemed to be alleviated now. And I was just sitting there crying, and somebody next to me, "Are you crying?" "No." And somebody else, "Is it time for his medication or something? You know, what's going on with this guy?" But I have a real soft spot for lonely people. And I believe that we need to embrace one another. And this is particularly alarming to me concerning the rise of artificial intelligence, because there are people that are going to use that, there already are, to alleviate their loneliness. And there are predictions that it's going to have a negative impact on marriages and relationships, because AI never has a bad day. AI always tells you how great you are, and you turn to a person who has flaws and fallibilities, and there are people, "Hey, I prefer to hang with AI." Do you think this is healthy? I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think it's good. I don't think AI is actually part of the human family. It's a representation. It's an artificial creation of the human family. And so people, we need one another, and we need to embrace one another as never before. And that's where the concept of from that song, "Buy the World a Coke," is the principle we use here every Sunday in our fellowships between services, after services. And Miss Linda J and her team always have delightful tasties of all kinds. But how many know the main point of it is not the tasties, is it? That's incidental. The main point is being able to spend time together. Isn't that true? To get to know each other better, to see how things are going, how we're doing, to get to know new people that are present during that time. That's what it's about, isn't it? It's an opportunity to bond and create an even closer emotional connection. And food and drink help us do that. I remember back in the congregation I came from, had a Quaker lady in my church, just a beautiful person. And I love the official name of the Quakers. Anybody know what it is? The Society of Friends. Shouldn't every spiritual community be that? I want us always to embrace that concept that we're here to befriend. We're here to befriend our fellow humans. We're here for people. And we always want to let them know they're welcome, we love them, and we want so much for them to be a part of us. So those are two great truths that the gospel of Coca-Cola helps us understand. The necessity of embracing the human family, and also the alleviation of loneliness. And secondly, what I learned from Coca-Cola is the joy of spreading the gospel. The joy of spreading the gospel. What does that mean? Many people can interpret gospel to mean some religious diatribe that somebody springs on you to convert you. But the gospel is actually not that at all. The revealing word, Mr. Fillmore tells us, the metaphysical meaning of gospel, it's an Anglo-Saxon word derived from the Old English good spiel. Good spiel. Or you remember the musical Godspell? Very reminiscent of that, isn't it? Good spiel, Godspell, good story. That's what it means. Good news or glad tidings. You ever heard somebody come up and give you the gospel? And the first thing, I want to give you the gospel. All right, lay it on me. You're a hell-bound sinner. That can't be the good part. Said, and your sin has separated you from God. Still waiting for the good part. And then, and Jesus died for you and suffered and bled on the cross so that you could be redeemed. Well, that's a little better than the first part. Still not that great. So I said, let me give you what I believe the gospel is. He wasn't expecting that. He's got this little rabbit path of scriptures he's going to throw. I said, I believe the gospel is I'm already fully accepted. The divine dwells within me, and every day that I live, I'm discovering more and more of that glorious divinity within me already. Yeah. Got him way off track. He said, I'll be going now. I said, come back anytime. And so, you know what the gospel is. That's the gospel, man. The gospel, as Mr. Fillmore said, the gospel of Jesus is that every person can experience being God incarnate. I am an individualized expression of God. That's good news, isn't it? And that's what people really need to hear. Just like the good news of Coca-Cola. You'll be happier if you drink this. You'll be way happy if you drink a lot of this. That's the message of Coca-Cola. But I believe we got something that really will enhance people's lives without messing up their teeth. How about you? Because, see, unity is not about keeping people from going to some mythical hell. It is helping them get out of the hell they're in now. Isn't that right? That's what we're here for, isn't it? And helping people to find the freedom and glorious liberty of life in spirit now. And for that, we practice a form of evangelism, which also has a bad reputation. But evangelism, its simple meaning is to bring a good story to people, to bring glad tidings to the world. That's what evangelism is. I remember I went once when I was still an evangelical minister. There was a group of Baptist men asked if I'd go to New Orleans with them for Mardi Gras. They figured I was the only guy crazy enough in town to actually take that invitation, and I did. And, we would walk around with signs, and they would, be designed to attract people. I had one that said golf and said, what is it about golf? I said, God offers you love and forgiveness. You tricked me. I said, but, we were pretty low-key. There were some there that were really mean and nasty, hollering at people, condemning them to everlasting destruction. But evangelism, its simple meaning is to bring a good, glad tidings, good news, and a good story to people. St. Francis of Assisi, this was attributed to him. He actually didn't say this, but it was a part of the Franciscan ideal. To preach the gospel wherever you go, use words when necessary. I like that, don't you? Because a life lived in spirit doesn't need a whole lot of words to express what it really is, does it? So, this is important. It illustrates the universal human family and the joy of spreading the good news, the glad tidings, and the good story. The third truth I find from Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has demonstrated the willingness to change and adapt to meet the needs of the society around it. And this is important, isn't it? An important kingdom principle. See, Coca-Cola, it's been around a while. It was invented on May 8th, 1886 by Dr. John Stith Pemberton, a pharmacist in Atlanta, Georgia. After suffering an injury in the Civil War, he sought a cure for his morphine addiction and developed a coca leaf and wine tonic. When Atlanta passed prohibition laws, he removed the wine, added sugar and carbonated water, and marketed it as a temperance drink. In other words, you don't need to drink beer or whiskey, just drink this. And you can still be together and enjoy each other's company over a Coca-Cola. You could see the appeal. And the invention and rise of Coca-Cola involved a few key steps. First of all, there's the original recipe. Pemberton's syrup was a blend of extracts from coca leaves, of course, where cocaine is derived from. A lot of people make out there was, cocaine in the original. It was, but not a whole lot. But eventually they did remove it anyway. So the coca leaves was a source of cocaine, and the caffeine-rich cola nut. Cola nut's actually spelled with a K, but he put a C on it because he wanted it to match. He marketed the concoction as a patent medicine, get this, that could cure ailments like headaches, fatigue, and morphine addiction. His first sale, he carried a jug of his perfected syrup down the street to Jacob's Pharmacy in downtown Atlanta. There it was mixed with carbonated water and sold for 5 cents a glass. Now, the Coca-Cola recipe is an interesting thing. It's often referred to as Merchandise 7X and is one of the world's most famously guarded trade secrets, kept in a high-security vault at the World of Coca-Cola in Atlanta. Anybody ever been there? World of Coca-Cola. Oh, cool, I want to go myself. Now, while the ingredients are listed, the exact proportions and the natural flavors mix remain unknown to the public. Laura suggests only 2 executives know the full formula at any time. They cannot travel together. And if one of them passes away or leaves the company, they appoint another of the 2 to keep the secret formula. Now, how many remember the New Coke disaster of the 1980s? Anybody remember that? That was a heck of a thing, wasn't it? In April 1985, Coca-Cola made a disastrous marketing blunder by replacing its 99-year-old original formula with a sweeter recipe dubbed New Coke. I remember New Coke. I wasn't impressed. I thought, that's all right. I wasn't impressed. It was designed to beat Pepsi in blind taste tests. The move completely ignored the deep emotional attachment consumers had to the original, prompting a massive public outcry. What they didn't factor in, this is more than just a beverage. This is a part of our lives growing up. This was at every backyard barbecue, every Little League game. At Christmas, it even had its own Santa Claus on it. Coca-Cola came up with their own Santa. I mean, it was a part of our lives. And they think they're going to screw with it and mess around with it? No. They didn't realize this is more than a beverage. This is an icon. This is a part of our culture. And they really regretted that decision. Listen to this. They prompted massive public outcry, protests, and rapid return to shelves. I don't want this stuff. Take it back. Now, the catalyst for change were this. There was the Pepsi challenge that was taking place in that day. You remember, upstart Pepsi, right? Throughout the 1970s and early 80s, rival brand Pepsi ran highly successful blind taste testing campaigns, proving that consumers preferred a sweeter cola. And then their market research, get this, was very flawed. Coca-Cola conducted its own 200,000 blind taste tests, 200,000, which showed the new sweeter formula outperformed both original Coke and Pepsi. However, this research heavily overlooked consumer loyalty and nostalgia. That's what they didn't take into account. This was way more than something you taste. This is a part of life. And you don't mess with a part of life. You know what I'm saying? And there was enormous backlash. I remember this. There was public outrage. Consumers were furious their beloved soda had been erased. The Coca-Cola headquarters in Atlanta was flooded with up to 1,500 angry complaint calls a day. 1,500 a day. I don't like this new Coke. And then there were grassroots protests. I'm not kidding you. There was a group formed called the Old Coke Drinkers of America. I'm not kidding you. There's an actual group formed to petition the company, while irate consumers hoarded remaining supplies of the old formula. They got the message. Just 79 days after its debut, Coca-Cola yielded to the pressure and announced the return of the original formula, which was branded Coca-Cola Classic. Save face, Oh, yeah, we still got it, but we want to go back, and honor the classic. In the aftermath, the new recipe was later rebranded to Coke 2 and quietly discontinued in 2002. Finally got rid of it. Despite the initial PR nightmare, the intense consumer defense actually revitalized interest in the brand, and original Coke surged upon its return. And there are those that say, well, that was a conspiracy. They planned all that out to surge Coke sales. I don't think they did. I think they really goofed up, and they managed to recover, thankfully. But this really is a lesson for me of the nature of the spiritual community and what we provide. How many know we need to change and adapt to the wider community, don't we? We need to hear, listen, and know what people are needing, what people are desiring, and how we can meet that need. And not just lock into, well, what we've done has been good. Yeah, it has been, but maybe we can do something different and it would be better. Isn't that right? An important principle of the kingdom. And this not only works in the spiritual community, but in our individual lives. How many know we need to individually recognize what ain't working in our lives and in our relationships? Isn't that true? Because you ever seen anybody They do the same thing again and again. They make the same mistake over and over and hoping it'll be better, and it isn't, and it won't be. We need to adapt and change. Every one of us. Isn't that true? An important principle of the kingdom of heaven. Recognize what is not working and be willing and freely open, to what can I do better? How can I be better? You remember that statement from the movie Love Story in the 70s? Love means never having to say you're sorry. Balderdash. It means the opposite. Love means being willing to say you're sorry. Being willing to say, I'm so sorry I failed you, I let you down, but I'm going to be better, I promise. That's what love is, isn't it? We express our love to the wider community. We say, we want to do better for you. We want to embrace you in a place where you can receive us. An important principle of the kingdom of heaven. Because I got to tell you something, as much as this thing touts itself the real thing is in here. Say that with me. The real thing is in here. Turn to your neighbor and say, the real thing is in you. You're the real thing. Stand with me if you would. Let's make our affirmation in closing. Are you real things? Repeat after me if you would be so kind. I am one with the universal family. I proclaim good news to my world. I am a living, breathing advertisement of the love of God. I adapt, change, and grow. I am the real thing. Yeah, you are. You're so real, I can hardly stand it. You can have your seats. Thank you.